So, Joshua,
Yes.
I was trying to think of a good email to read for people today that would be entertaining. And I decided that hard, poor corn was the one. And I actually reached out to Joe Lavery, and I was like, dude, what's one of the best emails that you remember from when we used to work together back in the day? He's like, definitely hard, poor corn. And so that sealed the deal for me this morning. So this is an email that I'm about to read you guys. It is in the it's in the description. But first of all, total play on words, right? And a storytelling email, not that dissimilar to Baboon Asked for Breakfast. And I want to just share this with you guys to show you how you can take almost any idea, experience, thought, and turn it into an entertaining and perhaps even an educational marketing email that helps you sell your products or services while bonding with people, right? So,
Right.
And this is something that you call the X factor in your work, Joshua. And
Yep.
I first learned about when I was going through NPOD in 2003, 2004.
Yep.
So let me read the email, and then we can talk a little bit about why it worked and how you guys can apply these principles in your business. And I would love to hear if anybody is on right now. I'd love to hear if there's anybody that remembers this email. This is email from 2007 when the only thing I was selling was email marketing and list building training to help people build their email lists and write better email to their email list. And this was actually it was an affiliate email, and I swapped out the link in the email for a live link that we're actually using for something now. So I did put it in the subject line if you want to follow along.
Okay.
And as I said, the subject line is all lowercase, and it's hard, poor corn. And it says, picture this first name. I'm at big seminar with the Overcome Everything crew. We made up with Matt Gill of Nitro Marketing in a bar. A hot wing eating contest is proposed. Matt Gill versus Tellman Knudson. It's on. So we all head around the corner to, quote, Buffalo's. And FYI on this one, Buffalo's is a restaurant that I would advise you avoid. We get to this fairly seedy restaurant that is completely empty in hopes of having a full-on throwdown, loud screaming time of a hot wing feast. So we order up 30 wings or so, 30 or so wings, several of which were called, quote, Scorching. We also ordered several other things from the menu for the onlookers of this monumental contest. And after we waited for roughly 90 minutes for our food to arrive, the wings turned out to be pretty darn tootin' lame. Not hot, no sweating, big letdown. But there's something interesting on one of the plates. It's an ear of corn, but it looks somehow strange. Very strange. At closer examination, it has been deep fried. So Matt decides to take a bite and proceeds to spit corn out all over his plate. Now, this nasty ear of corn has been deep fried, was stone cold, and it is something that I wouldn't serve to my most despised enemy. The night was legendary, and I didn't even get a chance to tell you about Matt's cute little overbite comment. More on that later. But the point is that a story was created that night, and I don't know about you, but I love telling stories. I have my own messages, lessons, and wisdom that I'm sharing with the world right now, and one of the best ways to pass on your story, your message, your lessons to the world is in the form of a book. But authors know this, or book authors know this, but I have found one thing to be true of authors. 9 times out of 10, authors haven't learned how to really sell their books. And with good reason. The truth behind selling thousands upon thousands of books is hard to come by. I know of one man who can teach you the secrets to selling more books more often and make a serious living as an author. But you should be aware that this man personally added an extra 0 to my monthly income. Before I got the chance to learn from him, I was making $10K per month. After I went through his system, I started making $100K per month. It's time to release your story to the world. Link. Overcome everything. Tellman. Now, the link that I used was, actually, I may have left that in the description. I may have skipped that one. Was overcomeeverything.com/corn. And nothing's there right now, but that's how it appeared in the email. And then went on to say, P.S. Authors, this is your chance to learn methods that will blow your writing career through the roof, such as the ATS formula, time-tested 2,437-year-old methodology proven to win more book sales even if you have a 0 ad budget. Link. Sidestep humiliating mistakes, why the traditional book marketing and promotion sales model is now obsolete. Link. Technology dummies welcome. You'll be amazed at what's not necessary to become a best-selling author. Putting up a website isn't one of them. Link. Repurposing content. You can get $20 for your book, but put that same content into a 3-ring binder and you'll fetch 10 times as much. Link. Tested marketing tools. Getting more done faster and better with less effort means having access to Alex's 5 most powerful online tools. Link. Outsourcing strategies. Choose to strengthen your strengths, outsource your weaknesses. That's the strategy the world's richest billionaires follow. Link. List building tactics. Learn the 6 most overlooked database building tools around and how to get access to them at no cost. Link. Okay, so that's the end of the email. Now, I want to tell you that that was promoting a program of Alex Mandossian's, who is a highly influential mentor of mine. And interestingly, no one remembered that it was promoting Alex's stuff, including me. Okay, the only thing that people remembered and still talk about to this day, Matt Gill talks about this email on Facebook all the time,
was the positioning.
And the subject line, the idea, the story. Right?
Yeah, the story behind the story.
So there are much more eloquent ways to do this than I did in this email in 2007. But basically what I did was I told a really funny, engaging story that danced around a play on words and then transitioned into the more hard-hitting direct response style copy that was working at the time for that promotion, because it was probably a launch that was going on. And that copy that Alex had is proven to sell. And so you can tell stories and entertain, but that doesn't mean it's going to make you any cash, right? And that's a fine line. And so I'm curious.
Well, you've got to have it lead somewhere.
Right. And you have to be putting the right story in front of the right type of person who already wants that type of product that you're selling.
Right.
So there are a lot of pieces.
For sure.
It's very, very funny email. And we're reading some of our best, most interesting, most entertaining, most outrageous emails here and sharing them with you guys to give you some ideas, some inspiration, some excitement about ways that you can spice up your email marketing and or your communications with your people in ways that will entertain and educate and ultimately lead to the sale. And this is a very, very powerful method to do that. Joshua, how do you use storytelling, and how have you used storytelling in your business successfully in order to sell more stuff?
It's everything. And by that, I mean, like, what is the story that pulls it all together? I will spend longer on that. I used to call it positioning, but it's really the story behind the story that makes it all go. And until I get that right, nothing else, no amount of brilliant copywriting works. I remember when I sat down to first write the sales letter for Income for Life, the original product, I wrote literally three different versions of the letter. and none of them felt right. I was just like going through the paces. I was taking proven copy and trying to, force fit it to make sense in the whole gamut of things. And then I stumbled on like this concept as I was going through, like what were the big turning points of my life? That, how did I come across this, and what made me want to even figure this out? And I started thinking about, oddly enough, the story of meeting with Matt Gill and Kevin Wilkie in Dallas, and being hungover on the flight back from Dallas, being really frustrated with how to, explain to them what I saw for income for life that I couldn't clearly explain when I was sitting in front of them. And then it kind of all spilled out along the way. And then I thought about like other areas of my life. And anyway, long story short, what ended up spilling out was the point about defining moments. And as soon as I started to think in terms of defining moments, that was the unifying message that pulled the entire sales letter together. And then at that moment, it took me some time to rewrite the entire letter, but I had the story down and I knew what I wanted to share, and I knew the particular story that I wanted to share in there. And then I tied it into everybody else's defining moments and their choice to let it, cloud them. So long story short, I will spend longer on that than anything else. And, like fast forward to the end of the story, that's the best sales letter that I've ever written.
That's right.
In terms of conversions, it's converted as high for a $500 price point product as high as 42%, which is not bad for a $multi-$100 product.
That's right. That's right.
And it's because of the story, and it's because of the way the story was used behind it. So, like you said, I mean, there's a lot of elements that are in the story that really lend to the success of the email besides just the story. I mean, one of the underlying things is that you guys were at a seminar, you were meeting, you're always going to these trainings, you're always investing in your education, you're always furthering it along, and you're always coming along with people and having a blast doing it, like these are the people. So, like indirectly, the subtext that's going on behind the scenes is I want to be part of that crew. I want to be able to challenge Tellman to a wing eating contest or whatever, and I want in on this. Or I want to at least be able to be in the know and know that I'm the one that said this.
That's right. That's right.
That created this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the story is everything. It's the story behind the story. It's what pulls it all together, and done right, it builds just a phenomenal ongoing thing that really, I mean, who could steal that?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're going to tell your story. Okay, great. Tell your story, but then they're going to be promoting you.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So like they can't rip you off where they can just rip off I mean, I think we talked about this last week or maybe when Baboon asked for breakfast one, where it's like, they're copying the leaves of the tree that you just put out there, but the roots of the tree and the trunk that makes it grow and actually, perform well. So.
And that's one of the magical parts about email in particular. I mean, it does work in almost any sequential medium. I mean, you could do this in a series of Facebook Lives. You could do it in a series of YouTube videos. You could do it in series blog posts, whatever. But email is nice. I mean, if nothing else, then because of the autoresponder aspect and the drip aspect. But yes, no one's going to be able to copy your story, but then nobody's going to be able to copy the sequence of your story and the way that your life story builds on itself. And one of the most important things here, guys, is that there are a couple of factors here. First of all, in both Baboon Asked for Breakfast and Hard Pork Corn, there's a sexual reference, and there doesn't need to be. Okay, I want to point this out. They happen to be funny, and they make everybody laugh, and they're easy to make jokes about. And those two have references that some people would absolutely not be comfortable with putting in their subject lines. You can take the most boring, mundane standard of experiences in your life, thoughts that you have, and you can still tell an amazing, captivating, engaging story around that, right? In your
one of
own
the
style, in your own way.
Something that just popped to mind is one of the most successful subject lines that I ever had was very mundane and by the standards that you just shared. It was for Sean Casey's customer appreciation seminar where I first met you face to face, I think. And I was promoting it for Sean, and there was several different email follow-ups, but the one that really got people to enroll was, and they waved goodbye to, first name, ... And then the first line of and then the first line of the opening of this was this fictional story of them leave, everybody's on the train and everybody's waving goodbye to you. Do you want to be left behind standing on the platform, or do you want to join in on the train with everybody?
That's right.
And it was literally talking about everybody waved to you goodbye from the train while you're on the platform. And that was it. I mean, then of course I equated it to going to the customer appreciation workshop, and it got a ton of enrollments.
Well, you don't have to just tell stories from your life experience. That's not, what is fiction? Right? I mean, and
right.
So when anyone's when you're writing anything, but fiction in particular, you don't have to draw from your life stories. You can talk about, but if you paint the picture vividly enough,
right,
and people are put there and they get the right feeling and they don't want to be left behind, then congratulations, right? Works really, really, really well.
And one of the advantages, I was just thinking about what you were saying about the different mediums, that it works with every medium, and I totally agree. And one of the big advantages that you have with email when you use this type of an approach, besides the automation and the autoresponder process, is that you can build suspense purposefully,
right?
And you have a shot at their undivided attention. So if you hook them in with a story, and there's no better way to get somebody's attention with a story, and you leave them on a cliffhanger and pick up the story in the next email.
That's right.
It's super powerful because now they're engaged. Whereas, even though we could use that technique here, we have no idea who happens to have seen the first one on the first go round.
Right.
That and whoever did, okay, they may have a shot of tuning back in, but you never know. But whereas with the email, you've got their undivided attention. And if you capture it one time and you hook them, then they're going to be anticipating the next one. And I don't know any other way that you can do that except maybe text messaging. But even that has its limitations compared to email. Everything has their pros and cons, but
Yeah, no, there are lots of pieces to the puzzle here. And I was just on the phone with a guy who's a text messaging super ninja, and he was telling me about this new technology that's coming out. Well, it already exists, but basically nobody's built interfaces around it. It's a 3-letter acronym, and it's like RCS or something like that. It's like rich text content or something, but basically it's going to turn text messages into something that's much more like Facebook Messenger, where we have buttons and all sorts of cool other interactive stuff that you can't just do with a standard text right now.
And it's going to work with text messages that aren't on the iMessage or something.
My impression is that it's basically the next evolution of text messaging. And so it will theoretically, it will come installed on new phones as the new way of text messaging. I don't know exactly what all that means, but there's something new coming with text messaging, which is pretty cool, something to look forward to. But yeah, whether it's text messaging, whether it's email, however you're getting the message out to people, individual storytelling and then sequences of stories are so powerful. And and I just like writing funny subject lines. I do encourage you. I mean, really realize your subject line of your email is the headline of your email, right? It really is. And more and more, I'm realizing that the from line is perhaps even more influential in many cases than the subject line. And so that's part of the formula.
Yeah, they'll never get to the subject line if the from line doesn't have something of interest to them. I mean, if it's because they're looking for a reason to delete, right? I mean, to filter out immediately if they haven't already set it up. So, I mean, like if it survives the first thing, then the subject line is the second, absolutely. But I totally agree with you.
People have nothing remotely interesting to say in their subject line, and they're just crossing their fingers and hoping for the best,
I think the challenge is to not just come up with really cool, interesting subject lines, but to practice. All right, how can I make this apply? Like let's see, where is it? I learned this from Gary Halbert. Hang on one second. So Gary Halbert was talking about this book right here, Who Knew?
Who Knew?
And the subtitle is Things You Didn't Know About Things You Know Well. And it's a brilliant, what I did was like, being a big fan of Gary Halbert, he said, do this. So I did it. And what I did was I would just open up at random to any page and say, all right, like this one that I just opened up to. Lifesavers got their signature shape by accident when the machine employed to press out a standard circular mint malfunctioned, inadvertently punching a hole in each. So I was like, well, that's cool. Like, and then the challenge became, all right, how can I use that story, interesting fact that I didn't know about, and how can I tie it into something that, and how can we, adapt it? Right. And so I just practiced, like, for any reason, just opening up to any page in any book and saying, all right, how could I adapt this? Like, so for that, I mean, I would be like, all right, well, like I wasn't like 3M sticky notes. That's another example of that type of thing. It was an accident. And so like how many other happy accidents are there that if you looked at it as a problem, you'd never find out the gift that it was. And if you spun it around and you turned it into something, so, I mean, that could be turned into 1,000 different things depending on what it is the point that you're trying to bring to life.
That's right. That's right. So one of the best ways that you can get good at this, guys, is by practicing writing emails every day, right? And this is a great habit to get into. And I honestly, I truly believe myself that if you write email every single day, and I'm a huge fan of the broadcast, right? Maybe you are and maybe you aren't broadcasting your entire list every day, but I'll tell you what, if you do your best to write a really great email every single day that goes out, and then you use the best ones to weave together your autoresponder sequence and keep building it as you go, I'll tell you, your sword will get sharp. You will get so much better at writing great emails, expressing yourself to your people, and more importantly, developing a consistent, deep, connected bond between you and your people, which is the most valuable thing of all of this.
Yeah,
makes a huge
coming up with the right story or just practicing, like even if what you did is like look through a book like this or something of that nature, the thing that or like I have a collection of probably close to, it's 900 and something different I called them idea triggers or idea generators when I was compiling, but basically what they are is great subject lines and headlines, subject lines, bullet points of sales letters, direct mail pieces, everything that I've received over the since I started collecting direct mail when I was like, I don't know, about 1992, I think, when I first got introduced to direct response copywriting. And so I started making a list of all these, but the important thing isn't the copy, right? It's like the ideas that get generated when you look at like that story about the lifesaver, that sparks so many different ideas that you may not have had if you're stuck on how to, present something to somebody. All of a sudden now you've got an idea on how you can start adapting it. And it's almost like impossible to not share then, right. To not tell that story once you get it. So, I mean, I think for me, the real value is going through the different triggers or idea generators and saying, all right, what's the big idea behind this that we can then pull out of it, that, how could I twist it, not only apply it to my situation, but how does that dictate the story that I'm going to tell as a result of this headline idea?
That's right. I want to talk about income for life.
Okay.
But before we do, I think that we are having a significantly suppressed viewership on this video because of all the links in the description.
Could be.
I think that's what's happening right now. Yes. We'll see. A little experiment. So we were talking about income for life a little bit earlier and the best sales letter you've ever written. So for what I was kind of thinking about, and I don't know how you'll feel about this, that's why I'm asking, is I'm kind of thinking about maybe telling people a little bit about income for life, and then maybe letting people raise their hand if they want to get on the wait list for what's coming up soon, so they can get a link before everybody else.
Sure.
A little IFL wait list might be nice.
That's fine. We can do that, and I mean, it's not ready quite yet to share with everybody, but it's getting there.
Great. Okay. So, well, cool. So income for life is. Oh, actually, is there a just a strict audio version?
Is there a strict audio version?
Like just a read of income for life?
There is. Yes, there is. It's, I don't know if I think the only thing that was made available, well, I don't believe that it, I mean, the thing about the audio version of it is that it has not been, it was never, like I came up with the concept, recorded the training videos first, and then transcribed the videos. And throughout the last 17 years or so, I've rewritten it 3, maybe 4 major rewrites on it since then. So it's not in like it's come the body of work, the actual field manual is much, much more in depth and clear than the original audio version because of the way that it was originally produced.
Maybe we should do an audio version of the new
audio. Yeah, that could be. That might be something.
Well, let's just talk to people about like the core premise of income for life. So, Tom Bell, what's up, Tom? He's like, remember that night at Nobu? You ordered the gnarliest thing on the menu. It was some kind of cooked spider, I think.
Soft shell crabs or something?
I don't remember. I mean, I in no way would put it past me to order a weird cooked spider. I do remember Nobu. I've been there several times, but I remember there was a crazy night at Nobu. But I think whatever I ordered, I don't think it stuck with my memory. I think there was a lot of sake involved. Yeah,
very likely.
Oh, Matt Gill.
Heard hardcore porn.
As fast as I can. He said.
Hardcore corn.
So funny. So let's talk about income for life.
Okay.
What's the idea?
Trying to think of something funny to say. I got nothing.
What inspired you to write it?
What inspired me to write it was Matt Gill and Kevin Wilkie and Eric Owens back in the day. It was 2003. Actually, it was 2003, maybe 2004. We were meeting inside of a hotel room in Dallas somewhere, and we were, as we regularly did, we were actually brainstorming how to best position what was called at the time NPOD Inner Circle. And I was trying to share with them my vision for how I saw this process working. And I didn't understand what it's what came into Income for Life, but it really was born out of my frustration because I tried 9 ways from Tuesday to explain it, and I just wasn't clear on it yet, right?
Right.
And I was, and I'm like saying to myself, I'm getting pissed because I'm like, well, if I can't even explain it clearly to Matt and Kevin, who are seasoned marketers that get me, that understand how I think, then what hope do I have of sharing this with the world? And so, like, I was really kind of frustrated and pissed off, not at them, but at myself, that I just, something wasn't firing. So we decided to call it, and Eric Owens is the man. Yep, no kidding, Matt. So we decided to call it as we did, and we went out and partied. And I think Matt and I probably had a battle on who could get to the pay the bill first and beat the other person to the check. And maybe it was one of the seafood tower nights. I don't know if you remember that, Matt, but we had that huge seafood tower several times over at Three Forks. That's what it was. Three Forks. Yeah. Anyway. And it may have been one of those nights, but we were partying hard because we were done. And I was partying even harder because I was frustrated that I couldn't get what was in here that I could see very clearly in my head and my heart, and I couldn't communicate it. So I was drinking heavy and we were partying, and I was drinking to forget because I was so frustrated. And then I jumped on the plane the next morning to fly home, and I remember being extremely hungover, but doodling on the cocktail napkins. I think it was a Delta cocktail napkin, and all of a sudden, the way to explain it came to life for me. And I doodled it all out, and literally, I think I flew from Dallas to it was either Dallas to Houston or Dallas to it was probably Atlanta if I was on Delta. And I remember calling up my buddy John, who was my video producer at the time, and I said, John, how quickly can you get the equipment over to my house, set it up? I've got to shoot this training. And basically, it came out of that, and it was this pent up demand. It finally made sense, and I could explain it. And basically, it was like, hey, there's 3 different types of leverage in building a business online. And if you want one that gives you income for life, as opposed to transactional income, as opposed to, short-lived income, and you want an ongoing income stream, then you've got to go from income today type income into income tomorrow type income into income for life income. And I mapped out a 9-step journey to walk people through all 3 of the majors, the types of leverage, because there's a new type of leverage for each type of income that you're generating. And but each one's necessary so long as you know where you're going, right? So income today, that's where you're trading your time for money. The only thing that you have to leverage is time leverage, right? But the problem with that is that once you run out of hours in the day or the week, there is no more. So you've got 2 choices. You either make your time more valuable, or you put in more hours, and sooner or later you're going to burn out, because it's all dependent on trading your time for money. But everything starts there, right? So you got to start there, but have a plan for what's the next step in the process. And back in those days, I called the next step up. Instead of leveraging your time, you learn how to leverage your knowledge. And today, I've evolved that into leveraging systems. And so that's where the duplication, the replication takes hold, where you go from 1 to 1, where it's you doing everything, to multiplying yourself. And it goes to 1 to many. And you now have some automation where the automation or the system takes care of the selling for you, and it can never have a bad day. It can never give less than 100%. It can fall on deaf ears. It can have, those unknowns. And then the other side of it was to finally to go from the final type of leverage, which is turning your knowledge or systems into true business assets that run it. Instead of you having to run the systems, have the systems run the systems, and then it's an asset. Whether you're there or not, it continues to feed and grow and produce the same or better results with or without you, so that each time you make a jump in earnings and success, that it stays there. And then when you make the next leap up, and that's when you have a true asset that is there. And so that's basically, I didn't realize it when I produced NPod back in the day, but that's really what made, I think, NPOD so special is that it was designed to do all those different things. And when I wrote Income for Life, and when I developed that whole concept, it was a 9-step process to basically become an NPOD master. That was like the 8th or 9th step in the journey. But if you followed this process with the right tools, then you'd be able to have an income for life type business model built around, of course, your interest, your vision, and where it was that you say you wanted to go, as opposed to duplicating somebody else's business model and whether it made sense to you or not. So that's the long and the short of it. It's evolved. It's been improved. It's there's been several different additions to the actual field manual, and now even some more that isn't even in the latest field manual, but some of the new graphs which are actually in the special report explaining it.
Very cool. Very cool. So, I've heard about this stuff thousands of times, so I'm playing dumb a little bit here for everybody who's just learning about this for the first time, right? When it's so interesting when people, as entrepreneurs, where they break free from the job force and then they go out and they build their first business online. So often they just build a job for themselves and then they keep stuck and trapped at right around the same level of income they had personally before they quit their job, right? Except they get 80 hours a week instead of 40.
Right. So in essence, they're making less per hour because they.
And it happens to almost everybody because of the way our brains are wired. And you have to start thinking differently when you're actually creating your business. So it's not actually about better marketing. It's not actually about info products. It's not actually about, traffic. It is.
Right. It's about all of that, but more importantly, it's about getting to be able to use that properly.
Right. If the foundation or the underpinnings of your thinking around your business are off, like all that stuff is for naught, and you won't even be able to see why.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
So income today, income tomorrow, income for life. Do you think we should tell people what we're doing?
Sure.
So first of all, guys, if income for life, if this idea is interesting for you and you want to learn more about income for life, Joshua and I put our heads together and we decided to put together a offer. I don't know how long it will be available, and it's not available right now, where you decided to make income for life available to essentially everyone.
Yeah. What I wanted to do was, in these uncertain times and troubled times, I wanted to give people, I felt I had the ability to serve people, to help out. And the only thing that was missing, I knew that I could, that's why I was willing to even bring NPOD and Income for Life back, period, let alone in the format. The second thing was like, all right, how do I make it available to people that, anybody, regardless of budgetary concerns, can gain access to it, provided that they are in the right headspace to take advantage of it. And I had little trepidations about what we decided to do, only because I want to make sure that, and I'm still not sure whether it's going to work or not, because stay tuned. It remains to be seen. And what I mean by that is that I'm sure that there will be lots of people that get excited about the offer, that want in on the offer. What I'm concerned about is that it will, if it doesn't help people, and if it just drives them deeper into that victim mentality where they are looking for all the reasons and ways that life isn't fair, then it isn't going to matter what it is. It's going to spin them further down that rabbit hole where they're not going to go in with the intention of having the success that they want. And that's everything, right?
Right.
Like if they don't go in with that intention to go pro, to be like in it to win it and really make some stuff happen, that decision alone is the most important thing. It's like we've been talking about for weeks now, Tellman, but like when when the students are ready, the teacher appears. Well, I mean, that's like you, when like you would have figured it out with or without me. You would have had the same kind of success stories that you had because you were ready. You had made up your mind that you were going here. How am I getting there? I have no clue, but I'm not stopping. You're either going to see me dead, for trying on the side of the road or on the mountain climb up, or you're going to see me, pounding my chest from the mountaintops because I did it, right? That attitude does everything. I mean, like that's when things line up to start helping you. And so my basic concern about doing it this way was like, are we going to perpetuate that mentality where people are getting in on it just because it's a great deal, just because they can, just because they can, but they're not going to take it with and give it the just deserves that it takes. So I don't want to continue to perpetuate and make it worse for people. If it drives them deeper into that mentality where, life's not fair, the life owes me something, that type of thing. And that, I'm sorry, guys, that life isn't fair, but you know what? Life doesn't owe you anything, right? But if you still believe that, then you're not going to be able to have the clarity of thought to, put forth with the intention to make it happen. So, I did my best in this adaptation of the explanation to cover these things. And I think I did it in a way, I mean, stay tuned, time will tell, so that when people make the decision, I explain, like what's involved that they should be considering. And basically what I said is like, look, it doesn't matter to me and Tellman what you choose to do with it, what price you choose to pay. And that's the big thing that we're going to let out of the bag, is that we're going to make it a pay what you want type offer. Choose your price. And whatever it is. But the warning is like, hey, it doesn't matter to me and Tellman because we love all our children the same. We will give the same kind of love and attention to everybody, no matter what they spent. It will, however, matter to you a great deal what that price is. And I'm not saying that it needs to be, several $100s or $1,000 or $2,000, like other people have paid thousands of dollars to access this information. It doesn't have to be that. But what it has to be is in that sweet spot where it's not so little that you can just blow it off. If life gets in the way, and it will, will you just say, whatever, and blow it off and not take it seriously? Or will it be enough of a stretch where when life gets in the way, you deal with life and then you get right back to it because you're serious about making some stuff happen? And for each of us, it's a moving target. Based on who we are, what our situation is, what the budgetary constraints are. So, and if you spend too much for it, the other side is true too. Like if it's outside your that sweet spot on the expensive side, what ends up happening is you look for you're so dialed into the fear that I got to make this happen that you're now in desperate money mode, which never works.
Right.
And what now happens is that you challenge every little thing because you want to make sure that it's going to work, and so really what you're doing is you're stacking up a list of reasons that are going to support you when you decide to ask for a refund.
Exactly.
I mean, it just is that's what ends up happening. So, what it is for each of us is different, and it changes based upon our personal experiences. And so I hope that with that kind of positioning and explanation that I haven't seen that's what I don't like about pay what you want type offers. It's not about getting screwed. I don't care about that. Like, I know that some people are going to take advantage and they're going to lowball the price and they're going to do it. And then they might even, ask for a refund immediately. They might bid, $1 or $2 or $10 or whatever. And that's what they get it for. And then as soon as they download the thing and, ask for their few dollars back. Okay. We'll give it back, no problem, because I don't play games like that. But at the same time, it isn't going to serve them. So, now, of course, this is the part that's the unknown piece for me personally, is that if people, if it gets too heavy in the other direction where people are doing that all over the place, and it's not serving them, where it's just serving to move them deeper into, I'm going to get mine because the world is trying to screw me. So I'm going to screw the world over before, this happens to me type thing. Right. Well, then that's not going to help. And so if the scales tip too far, then we will pull the offer without warning, and I'm done with it. Like, whether I continue to sell it at a given price, that remains to be seen. But I will pull it because I pulled it before, and it surprised the entire world because it's my best-selling program ever. When I first released it, over 7,000 downloads within, I believe it was 3 weeks, just without any real heavy promotion, just kind of like word of mouth got around. And then when it became a full-fledged training product, well rounded out and everything, it became my best-selling program. And when I got tired of dealing with the kind of life that came with being the expert out in front and stuff like that, I stopped it. I shut it down, even though it was making tens of thousands of dollars every month. I just stopped selling it because it just wasn't, I was done. And so that is to say that I'm hopeful that this is going to really support people and help people. And if it does, then you'll probably see it run for a while, until at least another few months where we're through this uncertain times caused by the pandemic and COVID and all this stuff. And I doubt, though, that once that's done, I'll ever do something like this again, frankly. I don't have plans to, because I really want to do this. But, who knows? Maybe the way that this is positioned, and the way that I'm explaining it now and the way that I've explained it in the report that kind of details all of this, maybe it does the job that it needs to do so that people come in with the right. I'm trying to get people that have already shifted, that have already made that decision that you made back in the day, Tellman, that you were going to, make it happen or die trying, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And also the people that just need some encouragement, some empowerment to then step into that mental capacity where they have the headspace to go pro, to say, I'm in it to win it. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going in with the intention to win it. And so, as opposed to playing not to lose, right? And so if I can help with that through the actual marketing to help people spill over, then there's no reason why it wouldn't continue to run.
Right.
But that's just the unknown, right? I mean, like we don't know what we don't know yet. So thanks, Matt. I appreciate it, man.
So let's see. That's right. So guys, if you're interested in this idea of income for life and learning more about these principles so that you can apply them to your life and apply them to your business, we don't have a launch date, but it's going to be soon. And we are going to be releasing the Income for Life training manual at Pay What You Want. And
I'm also decided to include the 7 Secrets in 30 Lazy Days program along with it. So they get both.
Awesome. I didn't realize you were including those both. That's super cool. So,
yeah, I felt like it really needed to be bundled together. So they get the audio training version of the 7 Secrets, and they get the field manual. I mean, the in-depth, it's 340 pages if you count the cover. It's 333 or whatever without all the extra, materials in there.
Cool. So if you guys want that, if you want a link before everyone else, as soon as the order form is live, just type IFL into the comments. And shoot me a private message, or Joshua a private message, depending on which one of us you're following, on which platform you're watching. And just say, hey, I want the Income for Life link in the comments so that we know, and we'll get it out.
Put me on the list.
We'll put you on the early bird list, so you can get your hands on it before we go live. So IFL into the comments, and we would love to share that with you. It'd be great. Awesome. Well, Matt, Tom, everyone, Davidson Jones says IFL. All right, message received.
Cool. Thank you.
Cool. All right. So What else? What else? I think an audio read through would be really good. I think people would really like listening to it, and the sweet sound of your melodic voice just echoing through our minds while we're driving in the car.
Yeah, I mean, I hate just reading it personally. I love expounding on it, but then I end up going off on tangents, and so maybe there's a way to do a combination of both, where it's I stay on point, but it's also real, like it's an actual interaction.
Yeah, I mean, do you think you would just do the read through yourself, or do you think you'd have to have someone else do it?
Well, if we want to be like just straight up like an audio book, the easiest way is to hire somebody to do it. But I don't think, frankly, that they'll do a good enough job with the passion that I would, because it's me.
Right.
So there's that. But then there's also, as I'm prone to, and we all know it all too well, I'm prone to tangents, and sometimes they're really, really valuable, and sometimes they're boring as shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
They're only interesting to me sometimes.
That's right. That's right. Awesome. Well, guys, thank you very much. And Joshua, I think we should probably roll for the day, and
Okay.
And we'll take it from here.
Sounds great.
Awesome. Thank you guys so
Thanks,
much.
guys.
Thank you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Tellman. See ya.